All right, episode 70. It's 2020 and it's halftime in your business. Are you the Falcons or the Patriots? You're going to find out right now.
2020.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
All right, episode 70.
70.
I messed up that intro.
You did. You almost said 2010, and I wanted to do a bit, and I'm glad you called yourself on it, so I didn't have to be the dude who did, but yeah.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about this is we're halfway through 2020. It's the start of the third quarter, and in your business, are you the Falcons or the Patriots? So we are talking somewhat sports, but just making it business related.
Foosball.
So you don't want to tune out because you do want to find out what this is all about. But before we get started, if you're not a part of our Facebook group yet, go over to the only real estate group worth being a part of, request access there. And then once you're doing that, you want to go over to touracademy.com. And you're going to want to sign up for our membership academy, as well as our listing webinar that we are still in the process of reshooting.
So, in the process, meaning like we keep pushing it back.
Yeah. So
we're going to do it.
That's why. It's been canceled 3 times now. But here's the thing. It's good that it's been canceled because we are updating it. So you want to go to touracademy.com/take10. Sign up for the webinar that we already have in place. You'll want to watch it because it's already proven. We took 21 listings in June.
Nice. Good stuff.
21 listings in June.
I don't know where we got listings-wise. I took 3.
There you go.
I can tell you where
I took
year-to-date, as of today, is July 1st. We are
Derek just hit us with the wide shot.
I was going to say, Derek, where's that shot been for 70 episodes?
People see what I do during this part of the show.
We got an extra camera in there now.
Oh, there are 4 cameras.
I didn't even notice that.
You are a master of angles because none of the camera angles show other cameras.
I might-
Which I'm looking at all 4 cameras, and I feel like that's impossible.
I might have a special one for you. Let me work on it.
Oh, okay.
So what does that say?
That says 97.
97
Listings to date.
year-to-date.
Excellent.
Dang, man.
Right, 3 away from that 100 mark.
There you
So
go.
we're going to celebrate that. So if you're wanting to take 10-plus listings every single month like the Hergenrother team does, Hergenrother DFW as well as the Good Home team, go over to touracademy.com/take10. So the main thing that I wanted to talk about today, which I think we've echoed it before, we've talked about it a little bit,
Sure.
but I don't think we made it a full show. I was going back and looking at it. There's a book called the 12-Week Year.
Who's that by?
It's by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington.
Cool. Okay.
Right? And so basically, the whole thing about this book is they talk about if you're trying to make your goals, right? So how are you? Did you make any New Year's resolutions?
I was going to say no, I'm an adult, but then I feel like I'd alienate a lot of people. No, I chose not to.
See, I chose not to as well, but I used to. Right?
Yeah, I definitely have in the past.
Right. And the majority of people already, especially halfway through the year, one, they give up within the first 2 to 3 weeks.
Sure.
But already halfway through the year, the majority
If you've
of people,
kept your New Year's resolution through this year, you are a titan.
Yes. This year has thrown a lot of obstacles, right?
My resolution was to stay inside for like 4 months in a row.
Mine was
Killing it.
Mine was to go into the office during quarantine, and once we were allowed out, then I'd go into the home office.
Yeah, well, you're nailing that one.
Yeah. But the majority of people already have given up on their New Year's resolutions or their business goals, and their whole philosophy around this book is you cannot plan your goals out 12 months
Sure.
in advance, right? Because it's too far ahead.
Right.
Right? And the further you plan into the future, according to Brian Moran and Michael Lennington, the authors of the 12-Week Year, the further you plan into the future, the less predictability you have.
That's 100% sound.
Right? So you're like, all right, let's do $100 million this year. Did you plan for COVID to happen?
Right.
No.
And well, I mean, just anything, right? I remember can I just bag on people today? It's my birthday. I'm just going to do it.
We did forget that.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Thanks.
I was waiting for
Thanks,
Brian to
guys.
I was sharing stuff out. I think it's better to make people talk about their own birthdays.
That's how I am.
Just like force them
I'll
into
be
a situation where they
100%
gotta bring it
honest.
up.
You guys have known me for a long time. I'm so uncomfortable with my own birthday. We're having a party tonight, and I just like parties. But I am so scared of checking social media. If you've wished me a happy birthday on there, I'm so sorry. I just feel the social anxiety of having to respond to everybody and stuff. I'm like borderline shut myself inside in my room all day.
He says this every year, dude. Like the few years that I've known him, he always like this is not a bit. Like he really like.
I just feel that social pressure. That's one of my biggest fears is like alienating people and they don't like me or for some reason.
So you were not invited to that party.
Yeah,
I'm also
exactly.
staying on Brian's camera right now because I tried to add a camera and it froze on me in here.
So it's going to be me for the next 45 minutes. No, I had a conversation I talked to two buddies because I'm playing golf with two buddies tomorrow. And one was texting me about golf and the other one called me while I was texting the first one. And so I was talking to the one that called me. I was like, bro, you got to come to my party tomorrow, whatever. And then the one I was texting with, the other one, owns a restaurant where I'm ordering a lot of the food from. And I was arranging for pickup for the food last night, and I was like, and Lady, my wife, was kind of arranging that, and she was like, "Are you coming to the party, by the way?" And he was like, "Well, Brian didn't tell me about it." I was like, "Yes, I fucking did." But I remembered it was my other buddy I told him about. I had like a panic attack in my kitchen because like I didn't invite him. I'm so sorry. Like, so that's why I'm not checking social media today. If you've wished me and I haven't responded, what the fuck was I talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, bagging on people.
Did you plan for a birthday
Yeah,
this year?
exactly. So I went to a Tom Ferry summit years ago, and because he's personally sold a ton of houses, and part of it was like a business planning session, and part of the business planning session, we spent like 6 hours one day on this at the little like 3-day summit, and then it was really in depth, and I learned a lot. But one of the things I learned again is about long term versus short term thinking. We did a business plan for the entire year, and in the business plan, part of it is like how many houses are you going to sell from open houses? How are you going to sell from online leads? How many are going to be Sphere? Like it wanted you to plan out in detail, like the exact amount of units from every lead generation source. And I was like, this is the most specific, nonsensical thing. So let's just say I'm like a couple units short halfway through the year, but I'm way down on open houses. Like, do I just like forget everything else, just do open house for the rest of the year? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, you like in football, we're doing sports analysis today. You think about what you're doing on this drive.
Yeah.
You don't think about like, you know what, if we just run the same play all game, we're just going to crush them. Like you make in-game adjustments.
I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago about kind of this exact thing, and I think it plays into a little bit of what Nick was talking about. Like, if your business specifically came from a lead source that shut down, we were on a listing appointment yesterday where this guy's his income was cut by almost 2/3 because the business he was specifically in catered to schools, right? Well, it revolves around schools using equipment and breaking stuff and needing more. Schools ain't open right now. They ain't breaking shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, like, he has these accounts that went from, like, $26,000 in monthly spend to, like, $150,000. Like, these insane drops. And I think we have to realize that same thing. Like, I recognized pretty early that my business was in a lane that was okay, but it was also a lane that was a little bit affected by this. Yeah. Imagine if the majority of your business came from open houses.
100%.
Right? Like that
so
was a
much
perfect
fragility
example.
there. Yeah.
You would have had no shot. And of course, last year in October when you were doing business planning, you wouldn't have thought of that in any kind of way at all. And that's something that if coronavirus didn't expose to you the shortcomings in your real estate business, and I'm going to be super honest, you were not paying attention at all to what was going on around you.
Yeah.
At all.
100%. Well, you're probably, I mean, and that's a mean thing to say, but you're probably not doing enough units. Just
I don't even mean to be a jerk. It's just you should have noticed something
100%.
different about your business.
There should have been enough diversity in your business where you could start to see where it really affected
and felt some
you.
friction in certain places that you could go back and address.
100%.
So this is the Brian stream.
Is this?
I am completely frozen back here.
This
is still going.
So which one of these? Is it just on
It's
me?
just you.
Center.
Oh man.
So should we just lean into Brian's
this is
camera?
everything.
What would you like
This
me
is my
to do?
nightmare, Derek. This is everything I didn't want for my birthday.
Do you want me to stop it and restart it?
I don't think anybody's
no.
just going to want to stare at Brian the whole time.
Do we have to start and restart the live stream?
Here's what we
Yes.
can do. Just go behind the camera, Derek, and every time we talk, you just pick it up and move it
I
around.
was going to say we could do that.
I will do that
Derek,
if you want me to
Derek,
do it.
Actually, this is a real idea that's maybe
So like,
less funny but better. Do you want to just move this camera back so it gets all three of us?
so the other thing is I can't do anything.
You put
Like-
too many bandwidths, Derek.
No outro, no nothing. Like
That we can deal with.
completely froze.
Oh, we've
That we'll
already
deal
done
with.
acapella stuff, dude. We can handle that part.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to end the stream.
just
The
move.
camera's
Just
not on me.
move
I would have
this.
handled this.
Just move this camera back. Yeah.
Executive decision.
There you
All
go.
right. Well,
cameras are
while we're
useless.
There we go.
while we're figuring this out,
This is so crazy.
So
This is great.
since we're on Brian right now,
we gotta reshare.
Brian, what are you doing with your team it's the start of the third quarter, right? Have you, one, are you tracking for your goals, right? So you're making adjustments, right? I will tell you that we are still behind where we were
Actually, looks
currently
kinda
last
good.
year.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Now we started out and it's not Corona related.
That actually looks pretty cool.
I can just see my.
Oh, the camera's just now. The live people are just now seeing me walk
This
the
is
camera back.
100% the Dan Lebitard setup.
We'll get a little
I
closer.
haven't
what
watched
this
Levitt
is.
There we
so
go.
long.
There we go.
Well, this is the camera angle.
Yeah.
This is I'm his dad.
All right, let's bring it
Anyway.
back in. We're just trying to struggle to keep them watching through all this mess.
All right. But no, okay, so yes, we are, and I'm proud to say, and I'm happy to say that we have actually almost down to the dollar on June 30th yesterday equaled what we sold all of last year, which was really, really cool. So we're up in every category. The team has been busting their butts. Here's the thing, and I try to avoid this, meaning that I kind of think birthdays are silly. I kind of think New Year's are silly. I feel like these are, not to get super existential, these are all just like man-made constructs of time. I am a huge proponent of in-game adjustments, meaning right now our biggest focus is taking advantage of opportunities in new construction and trying to push the listing side. Our listing side is nowhere near popping as hard as our buying side right now. And that's obvious. Market forces are coming into play. But I rarely have, I poured out to the team in our team meeting yesterday how incredibly proud I was for everything that we've done and they have done in the first half of the year. But that's about all I dwell on that long of a period of time. I care about what we're doing this week because, as Matt said before, you have no idea what's going to happen in the future. I think if you really want to plan for the second half of the year, stop planning for the next 6 months. Plan for the next 6 days.
Yeah.
Well, here's
you
the
know
thing.
what I mean?
So if you go get the book, the 12-week year, right, and really break that down. Let's look at it's just a brief recap because there's a lot to it, right? This is where I've also learned about there's 8 elements to a high performer. And what that is, and we can go over that and touch base and get y'all's thoughts on it. But really, the action steps. So if you're with Keller Williams, it's very similar to making your what is it? Your
411 or 135?
135 and your 411. Your 135 at the GPS report,
Right.
in Keller Williams wording is that's your annual goals. You still can have your annual, right, and how you think you're gonna get there.
Sure.
Right. Your 3 items that's gonna get you to those annual goals.
So 135 is 1 goal, 3 major items, 5 action steps for each item.
Correct. And then your 411 breaks it down into your monthly goal, then down to your weekly and daily, right? So the 12-week year is very similar to this, and just gives you a little bit more visuals and understanding, like what's the leading and lagging indicators.
100%.
Right? We've talked about this on about the Jordan mindset mentality is not focusing on the outcome, right, but focusing on your daily actions, and the results will follow. So they talk about break your 12-week goals down into weekly and daily actions, and then schedule weekly reviews and planning sessions to measure results and stay focused on achieving your vision.
Yep.
So it's got to be measurable.
It's got to be measurable, and it can't be just a thought exercise. This is something that we actually implemented in our business late last year that was actually pretty effective that I didn't even think really would be. We do we call it the CEO report every week because I'm super bougie. It's literally just a 1-page. It's a 1-page with who did what this week, who went on these appointments, who went on this, took this amount of listings, this amount of contracts for every single item and agent on the team, and then we just keep them all together, and so we can just review the last 3 months, 6 months, 6 days, or 6 weeks, whatever, right? And we can track those leading and lagging indicators, right? And I think that so. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but take these out of the thought realm and put pen to paper or keyboard to keystroke and actually track this stuff every single week, and you'll really get an idea of where your business is headed.
So with that, one thing, would you be willing to share that CEO report with Tour Academy members?
Absolutely not. No, I will.
So, all right, Tour Academy members, that will be shared with you. If
Resource library, it'll be up in 2 days because today's my birthday.
And tomorrow's recovery.
Friday, I probably should
He's
be
got to
in there.
drink away that anxiety.
100%.
Right? He's going to forget that of all the people he did not invite for the party tonight.
Man, I just
Which
saw
cannot be
AG
more
jumped
than-
on, and
it
I'm
cannot
so
be more
I
than
feel bad
10.
about that.
There's probably no more than 45 people coming. So if you didn't get invited, you're probably not in Brian's top 50.
Yeah.
No, we're
Yeah.
just kidding. There's probably no. There's probably,
But-
if there's 8 people there, I'll
But
be shocked.
if you
I
want,
don't even know if I have 50 friends.
And we're 3 of them. So
There
just
you
know
go.
I'm counting us in the 8.
100%.
yeah, you said 3 of them, like including himself.
Yeah.
There's only 2 here.
Well, yeah,
of
he'll
I
his
be-
spent a
friends.
lot of time on myself. We've got to know each other over the years.
I don't use
Yes.
my words good.
So if you want that CEO report and see what that breaks down, go over to touracademy.com, sign up, $97 a month, right? It will pay for itself, especially with that CEO report. But with that, when you're tracking those items, what type of leading and lagging indicators do you guys look at?
A lot of the same ones that, and I'll let Matt kind of jump in on what he does personally as well. A lot of the same ones you do. We are a list to last based business. So I do not consider. I wouldn't say I consider buyers gravy at all because they're more than half our business this year, right? It's just it is much more difficult to go out and sustain your business by marketing, just specifically to
more
buyers.
expensive.
It's more expensive. It's less profitable. Obviously, it's very, very, very difficult. So the main things I track are listing appointments, listings taken, obviously listings sold, and then overall pendings for the year, right? Because what I also want to track, if you get your overall pendings to listings taken ratio, you'll see where your buyer business is soft or heavy. And since most of our buyer business either comes from Sphere or from marketing our listings, if we become listing heavy all of a sudden, but our buyer stuff drops off, I'm like, dude, why is none of our shit working anymore?
Yeah.
Why are none of our marketing? That's one of the reasons. And honestly, I don't want to kind of alienate a lot of the work that I've put in and kind of expose myself here. It's one of the reasons we've gone a little bit away from cold Facebook marketing because our buyer conversions started to go down for a little while. We've gone almost strictly very heavily to Facebook remarketing, and we're going a lot towards Google pay-per-click right now.
So I'm going to interject something. One, we're going to talk about this more tonight, and then we're going to reintroduce it on future shows, right? Yep. So I had a conversation with a gentleman today who had commented in the only real estate group worth being a part of that was helping me dig deeper on my expired listing campaign.
Okay.
Right? And
I saw him say, I'll DM you, and I was like, damn it.
Yep. So,
Slide into
but
those
we're
DMs.
gonna bring that into
awesome.
the show, and talk about how this guy's got 2 PhD research people on his staff that produces white papers on the real estate industry, right? And talks about why we should not be focused on really generating buyer leads, right? Who gives a shit if you can generate a buyer lead for 25 cents?
It's what we were talking about with
garbage.
Moses the
I
other
will
day,
tell
yeah.
you right now, here's how I know buyer leads are easy to generate. You know who's the worst real estate agent ever in 2012 and 2013? This guy. You know what I did? Sold a whole shitload of houses to buyers that could generate buyer leads like crazy, right? Like, I'm not saying like having a buyer business isn't smart. I'm just saying like it is an easier lead to
It
procure.
should be an
There's no doubt about
organic symptom of developing a good listing-based
Yeah.
business. Otherwise, talk about fragility. Your business is incredibly fragile if you're.
it would be if you were on the
buyer
listing
heavy.
side too, right? Like if you were just all listings
Sure.
all the time, it's easier to dig your way out of that.
Yeah.
But we talked about before the show, right? It's that whole black and white aspect of life.
Yes.
If you're all buyers, you're razor thin on one end. If you're all listings, you're a little bit wider,
Yeah.
but pretty thin on the other side. All of this happens in this 8-lane highway in between, right?
100%.
That's where all this nimbleness that we talk about on this show all the time, that's where all of that happens. It's not us tiptoeing down the curb of the highway.
No, or playing some sort of guessing game.
No.
Exactly, right? But I will tell you, if you are somebody that does track your business very well, get away from the cost per lead conversation. No one cares. You're not. If you're one of those dudes on Facebook, I generate realtor leads for 2 cents, whatever. No one cares. Cost per conversion per closing.
Well, and that's
is
what
matters.
that's where I was going with this. And one, the services that we were talking to him about, it's measured in 90 days, 3 months, right? And so basically, it's the same thing that we're talking about here. Of if you're not on your goals, right? Think about it. If you go and you go review your financials and you're behind or you lost money.
Sure.
What typically happens? You want to get pissed, and one of my old KW team leaders used to say that's in the past.
Yeah.
Right. You can't change that you had a shitty second quarter.
It's already there.
Yeah, it's already done. You can't fix it. Or if you're already 3/4 of the way done in that quarter, there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
But what you can do is you can fix the third and the fourth quarter, right? And so the focus is in now, what can you be tweaking to add into your business at this very moment to start picking up opportunities and get on that profitable path, right? And that could be whether you do want to go into buyers, nothing wrong with that, but focus in on generating over the next 12 weeks. What are those action items you're going to do, right? So, they talk about, how do you get started with planning out your 12 weeks? First is you set your vision, and this is on a broader scale, says what do you want to achieve in the next 3 years? And then narrow in and focus on 1 to 3 goals of what you really want to achieve over the next 3 years, right? And then make those plans, determine the actions and strategies you need to make in order to move closer to those goals, right? So you're going to have your bird's eye view, then we're going to get closer, closer, and closer. The third thing is start figuring out and developing those habits to help you execute your strategies on a regular basis.
That's the biggest part, dude.
Yes.
It's the part where everybody falls over. Like the action is where everybody's like, "Nah, I'm good."
Matt said this. I think I've actually said this on the podcast before. Matt said this years ago to me when I was still in leadership before we were business partners, and it rung so true with me. We were talking about business planning and people kind of being disappointed with where they end up at the end of the year and whatever. And he's like, I've never heard of a person that was just like, man, I don't know what happened this year. Like, I held 4 open houses a week. I made 500 calls a day. I busted my ass. I was making content all the time. I was doing my stuff, and I just couldn't sell any houses. It's like, no, you always look back and you're like, man, if I had just done this or whatever, you know what I mean? Long-term vision, short-term focus.
Well, look at our buddy, and I'm going to be on tomorrow with Joe Rosen. I'm going to be on the Joe Rosen show. Yep. Cool. And look at his. I mean, that dude executes. That dude is the definition of consistent, right? Works out at 5:31. Right? Post about it on Instagram.
Picture of his shoes.
Yeah,
he works out at 5:31?
5:31.
Oh,
Picture of his shoes every day.
Yep, every day, picture of his shoes. That's how I know it's 5:31 because
timestamp.
right?
Okay, gotcha.
He does his accountability at 7:11 a.m. in the morning every morning, right? I think it's only 15 minutes long that he talks on there. Looks like that dude injects coffee because his arms all over the place and prior military. So
I want to have him
for
on.
Sure.
Yeah,
we
gotta
get that.
Well, we
got
to
stumble him into Dallas.
We are
at some
definitely
point.
working on having him on to talk about his plan of action. And guess what? Email marketing still works because that's something. Are you on his email list?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Every week, consistent, right? And that's the thing. He's developed those habits. He moved into a city, into another state and city that. He didn't know anybody there.
He was also the greatest thing about that, and we talked about on the show a couple of times. So if you're a fan of the show, you've heard us. But I will tell you, it is what he did before he moved to Port St. Lucie. Which, by the way, if you don't have a Port St. Lucie referral partner, Joe Rosen's your guy, right? Like,
sure.
The reality is, like, what he did before he even moved there, I knew him through dumb chance, through 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, of somebody connecting me with him on Facebook.
Really?
And then that's how I got to know him, and I think that's how he kind of stumbled into our world a little bit.
I met him at an EXP mastermind before he was still with KW. He's
that
like,
was even after he was. I think he was already in Florida at that point. He sent me a picture with you, and he's like, "Look who I'm hanging out with." Yeah, like I knew him when he was still transitioning from. And if Joe, you're watching, like he was in Washington or something like that.
Okay.
Yep.
And he was posting about his move like 4 months out, and he had a daily countdown about him getting his license, about every single thing he was doing. I was engaged with him before, like when he moved to Port St. Lucie. I'm like, I can see how this guy's doing.
Yeah.
Now he's penning like 8-9 deals
Here's
a month.
the deal, though.
In less than 12 months.
That's way less than 12 months.
That's that military discipline, man. And then going back to like long-term vision, short-term focus, like when you come from that type of background, you are about your daily habits. That's why they're so powerful. Like no army or whatever. World War II. We didn't go into it like, man, we've got like 5 years to win this war. Whatever. We're like, we need to win this battle right now, right? And if you approach your business or anything in life that day, long-term vision, short-term focus, right? And that's where we get so off. And that's why I avoid the conversation about what are we going to do for the second half. It's what are the effects on the second half going to be with what we're doing right now and tomorrow and the next day.
And I want to say something to the people who hear the things that I say on the show, because I think this is something that Brian and I have had to explore inside of our business, and I like peeling this back a little bit and be a little bit more transparent. Self-awareness also is not necessarily like this holy grail of like understanding yourself. Knowing what Brian's talking about and putting no action to it is actually worse than kind of being an imbecile. And it's very honestly, it's one of Brian's most, like one of the things that frustrates him about me more than anything is that I'm very, very much aware of the things I need to do. And also, candidly, sometimes just don't give a shit enough to do them, right? And if that's your mentality, understand, one, you still have a ways to go growth-wise, and I'm right there with you. So, like, I understand, right? Like, but know that that's also, like, self-awareness without action takes you away from being, like, being able to give you this pass of you just didn't know any better, and it kind of moves you close to the realm of being an asshole, right? Because you know what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's for yourself. I'm not saying you're an asshole to me because I don't care.
No.
But whether it's to your family, your goals, yourself, self-awareness without action is kind of on you, man.
Yeah.
In a really, really high way.
Absolutely. And so the fourth thing of this, right? So track your progress. Track your progress to help you stay focused and keep you on track, right? And so that's something that we don't that most people in the real estate industry are like, oh, how's your year going? Where's your numbers?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was trash at that.
It's going good. It's going good. Oh, is it? Is it better than last year? Well, I think so. It feels like it.
And don't allow the excuse of it just being kind of difficult allow you to break this down. Figure out a way to do this, because again, this is another thing that I've been atrocious at. And even once Brian put systems in place, it wasn't something I was really good at. But I'll tell you, since having Danny and being more, I've always marked it on a piece of paper, right? But like now I have Danny every week sending me exactly what I did last week, and having some awareness around some of those numbers and being able to see them over time kind of move. It starts to bring a little bit more like, man, I pended 6 deals last month. The month before I did 2. What in the hell did I do different last month to make 6 pendings happen this month
100%.
that I wasn't doing in March, and I only pended 2 in June or however the hell the months were.
And before we get into the fifth thing, you know what we did not do? So for the people who we just assume that everyone knows this sports analogy that we started the title on, right? That is the problem. I saw Brandy.
We're like when you name the song and they're like, why'd they name that song that way? It's not, the words aren't even in the chorus.
So I was like, you know what? We didn't explain that. Yeah. And not everyone's going to just click on a.
Was it 2017?
17 or 18.
17 or 18.
So it was.
Atlanta Falcons are rolling into halftime.
It would have been before the
dog
Patriots
ass.
Rams the year before. So it's 8.
I used to be good at backing them out. Now I just can't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. One of the years.
Falcons are killing the Patriots at halftime.
This is a football, and this is football related.
Football, yeah.
27-3.
Yeah, I think it's 27-3.
27-3.
And the Patriots do what they always do. They go into halftime, and they made adjustments. They made adjustments in their business. They didn't dumb down their goals. They made adjustments
But here's the thing.
in their minute-to-minute activities.
The fans started. A lot of fans threw the towel in, right? You're spending that kind of money.
Sure.
It's 20-7-3. Atlanta Falcons leading over the
Miami Heat fans did that back in the
My
day, too. They were
house,
banging to get back in
exactly
the
what I was thinking.
freaking
Right.
arena.
And so people started counting them out, right? And like you said, they made adjustments at halftime and came back and won. The New England Patriots won.
I think it was going to be like 35-28. Like, I don't think the Falcons did. The score doesn't matter. The point is,
They won in overtime.
the Falcons had what should have been a stranglehold on the entire game, and they let it slip away. Now, while you may not have had a stranglehold on your first 6 months of 2020, because I feel like all of us deserve to at least look at the first 6 months of 2020 like an eel.
It might have had a stranglehold on you.
Right? But it feels like right now we're first day of July, nothing bad's happened.
It's January 1 all over again.
Right? July
still
is
early.
shaping up to be all right. So hit the ground running in July. And here's the other thing. Before you get to number 5, I wanted to say this earlier. The other really important thing, too, when you guys talk about just tracking your numbers, also, if you're doing high levels of activity, you should be feeling the difference right now in certain markets, right? Like, I'll tell you, I've got a lot of referral partners in the cities that are hot for Dallas, Denver, Atlanta, Las Vegas, San Diego, like those types of places. And their markets all look really similar to ours.
Sure.
Super crazy low inventory. Buyers kind of getting their ass kicked like it's 2015. And there's a ton of opportunities for sellers out there. So if you're not, again, like I said earlier, if you're not feeling that difference in the conversations you're having right now, I would challenge that maybe your activity probably isn't exactly matching what you wanted to do.
So the fifth thing is that. Let's jump in that. And Brian,
No,
you can
go
jump
ahead,
in.
go ahead.
The fifth thing is take ownership of your goals.
Yep.
And only you are accountable for reaching them, right? And so that's the biggest thing that we've always, even on our team, is like, I can't hold you. I can't say, Brian, you need to make 100 calls a day. You need to send out, 500 text messages. And, what am I going to hold a gun to your head?
Right.
And I'm going to shoot you if you don't hit it? Like, no, it doesn't work that way, right? Only you can commit to holding whatever your goals are. And you have to stay accountable to them. Like, we can't make Matt do certain things.
Bro, Brian knows this.
Right?
He legitimately is in charge of trying to get Matt to do shit. Like, this is
Told him
his
that
day.
to his face a million
Right?
times. Like, I just can't get you to do anything. You're gonna
Here's also the thing that we've said on this show before, and I wasn't playing this, but I'm glad we circled back around to it. Nobody gives a shit if your boat is filling up with water. Literally. Nobody who's not on that boat cares. And it's not that you don't matter. It's not that your plight doesn't matter. It's not that what happens to you isn't sad. The reality is the world is going to move straight on past your ass.
got our own boats.
Pretty damn quick. Yeah. So at some point, you have to be responsible for that bucket and bailing water out of your own boat or figuring out a way to row your ass to shore because nobody's going to come to save you. There's no Coast Guard of life.
Not at all.
Right?
And I will tell you, I mean, going back to, I don't know what step it was, but tracking, and this is, if you want to take actionable advice away from us, this is one of the biggest adjustments I made in our business and over the years and even my personal life. So it's July 1st. Guess what I got to do on my birthday? One, I got to go to court and fight a ticket, and I lost. I knew I was going to lose. So they're like, do you want to plead no contest? I was like, honestly, I don't think I have a case. So I just left. And I paid $175. And then two, I got to enter all of my credit card transactions from the entire month of June into my big budget spreadsheet so that I can track everything. And it's funny because this is what it forces me to do. And I'm going to relate this to our business as well. It forces me to look at the last 30 days and how it compared to the 30 days before that and the 30 days. You know what I found out? I found out that unless I'm hanging out with you guys or somebody else, things like restaurants bring me no happiness whatsoever. Do you know how much I spend eating out at places like just day to day? It's
You're probably
insane.
down by 75% at least, right?
In March I was, and in April I was, and all those, and I was like, I don't think I was any less happy. And here's the thing, you don't get that thought process. You don't get those thought exercises without the hard copy exercises. It has saved me so much money over my life and allowed me to be so much more conservative and invest my money so much better because I literally have the privilege and the punishment of typing in every single dollar I spend into this thing every single month and going like, I don't know if my life was any better because of that, right? And it's sort of the same with your business, right? When you really get down to tracking your business like a business, you kind of have to stare in the mirror every week or 30 days or whatever and go, why am I here? Oh, here's why. Now you either have to just live with your boat and go, it's sinking because of me, or it's sailing because of me. Yep. And when you're having great months, you're like, here's why. Yep. You know? You
but everyone
such
wants
an insight.
Here's the thing, though, and this is where you really look at it and you have to stop the victim mindset mentality.
Friday, personal financial budget spreadsheet. I put it in Tour Academy resource library. It's pretty in-depth.
TourAcademy.com. Sign up right now. $97 a month. But too many people are victim mindset mentality, right? Where they're like,
I love to blame people for my shit.
oh, COVID.
I love it. It feels
Corona.
amazing.
You know, we started out the first quarter, I lost money the first quarter this year.
Yeah.
Wasn't because of Corona.
Yeah.
But Corona started the second quarter.
Yeah, right.
Right? We just got out to a shit start.
Yeah.
Right?
We do a lot of business overseas, so it was like...
Yeah.
The Chinese market really held us down in January.
Right? And with that means that we actually had a bad fourth quarter in terms of our action, our leading indicators, right? The lagging indicators told me in my first quarter that I sucked.
That's the great thing about real estate is it doesn't tell you you're broke until you're broke.
Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Right. You're thinking everything's going good. The holidays,
looks
you got the holidays, you're feeling good, and then all of a sudden you're like,
I closed 15 deals in the fourth quarter. I'm the most amazing agent ever. And first quarter rolls around, you're like, I got 4.
But here's the thing: we could either harp on that and just keep blaming. We could say, our agents didn't do our job. No, it's our responsibility. And guess what? We stepped up and we owned it. Yeah. And now we're only $3 million off from where we were last year, and we've got 56, 57, 58 under contract.
And
Guess what?
you're chugging
That's going
way
to blow
towards that.
past.
Yeah, I was
gonna
right.
say, you're
And
gonna
the main
outpace
thing is
that.
now making sure that you don't let off. Right. It's that you get exhausted while you're doing that marathon, but you don't want to go into that walk. Right. You may need to slow your pace just a little bit, but keep going.
winning if you can't win big.
That's what Brian thinks.
Don't take your foot off the gas.
I know. I love it.
Go harder. Right. So, but it's making those small minor tweaks. Like what we're doing is making those tweaks, and that's why I keep posting in the only real estate group worth being a part of. Is I look at our lead sources. Right. That's why I posted what our top listing lead
like that
source, which
post.
was expireds.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And I'm like. And a good buddy of mine, Denton Guam, has always told me, because I'm like, what if I do this? What if I do this? He's like, dude, for the last 11 years, expired listings have been one of your top 3 sources.
Yeah.
Why not go deeper in that?
Yeah. Well, and to that point, is, kind of came into my head is if you are going to do this or do that, right? I think one of the things that holds a lot of us back is a lot of us always have ideas that we don't really kind of, we conceptualize, we don't act on. And I would tell you if it's more leads, if it's more appointments, whatever it is that you're trying to enhance in your business, I think one of the biggest things that holds us back is we think and we talk about a lot of stuff, but we don't do a lot of stuff because we don't want to fail. Failure is something that we avoid, like we're repulsed by it, right? I will tell you that one of the only good things that we all do as a group, which is very few, is invite failure a lot, right? The only way we figured a lot of stuff out in our business is we invite a lot of the failure in there. Like we're doing a thing for absentee owners right now, and I was talking to one of our agents who's going to kind of take the lead on it, and I was candid with him. I was like, it's going to suck for like 3 months. I have no idea what we're doing. I'm going to try out a whole bunch of different campaigns and stuff. They're all going to bomb. I texted him the other day. I was like, I just sent something to 16,000 people, so your phone might blow up and people might be mad at you. So you might have to change your number. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I was like, this is like version 2 out of 16. This might not go well at all, bro. I have no idea, right? But we don't like when stuff doesn't work. But the only way, of course, there are models. Of course, there's a learning curve. Of course, there's all that type of stuff. But you don't get the benefit until you dive in.
Well, and I think one of the things, too, that you have to be willing to do, because I will say, for me, it was always inviting failure and was always really super difficult for me because it was really uncomfortable.
Sure.
Being around people who look, I understand when I read, Warren Buffett or whatever, that he fails and then he gets back up and, I fall
That's
down
on
8 times,
paper,
but I get
right?
9,
Yeah.
right? Like, but being able to like actually watch other people kind of fail and be like, no, I've done that like 3 other times. Like, you've done that 3 other times and you're still you? All right, cool. Like, I figure something else. So, like, I think the part of this too is surrounding yourself, even not in your day-to-day life. I'm really fortunate to be able to interact with you guys like way more than probably most people get to interact with a couple of friends. But I think being able to do that at a really high level and having the people around you who you understand what the success after failure looks like.
Sure.
Because failure kicks me in the freaking ass hard.
If you guys didn't see the first listing webinar we did, I think we burned it.
You should go watch the one that's up there now and then come watch the other one when we tell you it's out, because I will tell you right now, like, we look at that, there's so much stuff that you just have to try out. Parada, which, if you don't know David Parada, went ahead and posted our bloopers video on his Instagram stories.
It was perfect.
I think his director Parada was so perfect for today, but it's also like we were just talking about that a couple weeks ago. It's like, those 3 dudes don't even exist anymore, and that was barely a year ago,
Exactly,
right?
dude. No idea.
Here's the thing we were just talking about. We hate that intro.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, dude. I actually chopped it up.
Parada
on the
did a
Tour Academy
badass.
website. It's super awesome.
It looks great. We're tools.
Yes, we look like douchebags for sure.
But let's take that, right? So let's actually unpack what we're talking about
Sure.
here to continue adding value into this episode today. So there's 8 elements to being a high performance achiever, right? And it's having that vision, right? In the beginning of making this show and really building that tour, our vision wasn't as clearly planned out. You can go look at that intro, and it's kind of douchey, right? And doesn't necessarily give what we're all about. No.
Nick's the only one who's still dressed the same.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Sanya suit in it, dude. I don't know what I'm doing.
I have a shirt with so many patterns on it that still is in my closet. But I would never put on it.
So they talk about number 1 is a vision. A compelling vision creates a clear picture of the future, right? So we didn't really do that, at least from the show aspect. We knew what we were wanting to make that real, raw, relatable content, and really share our success and failures with everyone, right? And if they take away from it, if they hate it, at least we don't have a lot of. I haven't seen any negative reviews.
The only thing
iTunes.
we got was the one angry lady about Brian's dog picture in an email on time.
Yes. Because he looks real mean.
He was very aggressive.
Like a threatening dog in my face.
So the second part is the planning. An effective plan clarifies and focuses on the top priority initiatives and actions needed to achieve that vision.
Yep.
Right? So in our businesses, ours is the path to 100 million, right? I don't change the yearly goal because it's the path.
Sure.
Right? Because if we don't hit it, all right, it's our journey there. And I'm like, that's not a failure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's possible, so that's not, you know what I mean? Like, adjusting that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So it's and then the third thing is process control, a set of tools and events that align your daily actions with the critical actions in your plan, right? So let's say it is to sell, 50 houses, right? And then behind that other 50, you want to sell $25 million, right? So then you've got to break down what are those action
price point.
those action steps and everything else, and making sure that you stay in that price point. because I can tell you the good home team can find everything under $200,000 to list.
That's that Chris Wise price point.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a sweet price point.
I don't understand that.
I love it.
We can find the 139s, the 180s. We can slang all the under 200s. So measurements, right? This is the big one that I always like to harp on and look at. Is the measurement is the lead and lag indicators that provide comprehensive feedback that's necessary for informed decision making, right? I really thought you were going to hold his hand there. I was like, I don't know. I didn't know what was happening.
Are we square on units?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Was that one of yours?
Yeah.
So
No, it's even Stevens.
that really
Stevens.
threw me off
I
there.
know.
So
Game 3 wide view.
yeah. So I really look at the
It's
leading.
so hard to hide the rest of the behavior in this fucking show right now.
So our leading
You're
and
welcome.
Thank you.
the leading and lagging indicators that provide that comprehensive feedback. So we look at it from how many calls, right? Leading indicators are things that are in your control.
Right.
Right. Lagging indicators are not in your control, but it's typically the results.
It's the symptom of what your activities were,
Absolutely.
based hopefully on your leading indicators and you being smart.
Correct. Time use. Using your time with clear intention is a must,
Yep.
especially when you're doing this in that 12-week period. So the next 3 months.
That's a bit honest, and I'll tell you, we were talking about this right before the show
Yeah, we were.
about office time and stuff like that. I'm a dude who's kind of in his zone, and I do a lot of the back office stuff, a lot of the business building type stuff and systems and all that type of stuff. I sit in the office for 8 hours a day, just cold, and I need that, right? Matt spends maybe 2 hours a day in the office, right?
It's a
But
fucking
he's
beating.
it is a fucking beating. He needs to be out there in the world with the people, right? And he uses his time very, very, very well. But I think that's kind of the difference sometimes between busy work and productive work, right? A lot of times we think that we're working on our business by doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But just because you're busy doesn't mean you're managing your time well. If you're not doing one of the 5 things that make real estate agents money, and if you want to know the 5 things, go to touracademy.com. Then you're not essentially being, productive. And so I think time management is something that gets away from us a lot.
This is another one of those black and white areas too, right? Because you have the time management where you're hyper focused on your time, right? Like say you're just like one of those people like you two are. Like if something's on your calendar, it absolutely is a part of your day. Where today, legitimately at 12:30, I was FaceTiming somebody. I was like, "Damn, better make sure I look at my calendar and I didn't miss any appointments already."
I had a Zoom call scheduled with Matt and his assistant the other day, and I finally just switched it to a recording. And the first line of the recording was, "All right, so in the future, when I put something on your fucking calendar, show up for it, because I had made time for it, and neither of them got on it."
Neither of them. And I legitimately just emailed Brian back. I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't look at it." But my point being is one, don't judge your whole day by the fact that you don't be the person who does nothing, right? Also, don't be the person who's like, okay, I've done this. Why are there 0 results?
Right,
There's
just does a
also a
lot of stuff.
time that you have to put into when you've let your business kind of slide back a little bit. There's a ramp back up time. And I will
100%.
tell you that's true because I do it about once every 12 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? And then it goes from the time use, so using your time with clear intention is a must, to accountability, right? Accountability is the ultimately the ownership that you're taking of it, right? It's a character trait, a life stance, a willingness to own actions and results regardless of the circumstances.
That's just you, man. That's just having clarity around your goals. And it's exactly what Matt says. There's just 0 people rolling up in a boat next to you to save your ass.
How long are you going to hold? Here's the thing is just put it on yourself. If Brian comes to me tomorrow and says, dude, I want you to call me every morning at 5 a.m. because you get up at 5 a.m., which I don't. But Brian, somehow we've switched roles in this world, and Brian wants that from me. And I call Brian every day at 5 a.m., and Brian never answers his phone. And at 7 a.m. when Brian wakes up, he's always got some bullshit-ass excuse for why he didn't answer at 5 a.m. Guess what I'm not going to do week 2?
100%.
I ain't calling Brian anymore at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? So don't expect, again, if you're not putting in the work, don't expect people to care about whether you put in the work. That's all it is.
Just name me one really successful person that you've ever talked to in your life. It's like, dude, I couldn't have done it without Jeff, my buddy, who called me every day. Like, no.
Maybe Jeff fired him up at first.
Yeah,
Maybe
of
Jeff
course,
was their hype
you
man
had
with like a
help
water
along the
bottle
way
and a
for
towel.
sure, but he wasn't.
Right?
He's not like your corner man your entire life. He's got his own boat to row.
Yeah, even Josh Hamilton couldn't figure that out. Another sports reference.
That's a
Take it or leave
local
it.
riff.
Take it or leave it.
No, not touching that one. Right? And then commitment, keeping your promises to others, build strong relationships. So it talks about, are you committed to calling Brian at 5 a.m. every day?
Right.
Right? And if you are, then you should still call him on week 2, even though he doesn't answer, because that continues to build strong relationships, and keeping promises to yourself builds character, builds up your esteem, and then ultimately builds up your success. And then the last part of the
Here's
8.
the thing: those promises need to be made to yourself first, right? Like you got to
Correct.
keep those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the big thing.
Right, and the 8th thing, and being that that high performance is greatness in the moment. The results are not the attainment of greatness, but simply a confirmation of it.
Sure. Trust the process, and the results will be there.
Right,
100%.
And so let's kind of wrap it up on all this. It's if you're behind your goals, we were.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Well, I could have just focused on that and been like, guys, we're behind. But we also were celebrating the wins. Right.
Sure.
This is only the second time in a year that we broken the 20+ listing marks twice.
Yeah.
When the team was doing it, not when I'm just running listing
Right.
appointments,
Sure.
right? So
It's like not when my greatness is
Yeah.
in the room.
Yeah, take a
I'm
step
like
back.
taking 15 myself.
that's right. But it's tracking that and it's celebrating those,
Yep.
right? And so and then putting those goals in place or the contest in place.
There's a small leadership lesson there too, I think, because Brian and I experienced this for the very first time, right? Nick's been down this leadership road a lot longer than Brian and I have, so it's like it's really cool to see how like he kind of just flowed into this crisis a little bit easier. Where Brian and I were like trying to fix every damn thing that came up every second, and now it's like everything in life, right? When you're tumbling under the train, all you want to do is get out from under the damn train,
100%.
and the second you pop out of the back and the train rolls away, you're like, oh. Right, like that wasn't really like we weren't getting tossed around as bad as we thought.
I would
right?
tell you, on March 13th, I thought I was going to be homeless.
Yeah. There was a point not that long ago where it was like, well, coronavirus did us in. It was a good run. I appreciate you guys.
This is how it ends.
So you just didn't know, but it was also because Brian and I's goals had changed. It wasn't that Brian and I were really in any detriment of our whole lives falling apart, because the reality is Brian and I, when we first joined forces, made it on 6 transactions a month.
Yeah.
Right? Like it wasn't.
And 5 of them were us.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're to the point where 21? Like
21.
26 the month before, 21 this last month.
26, 21,
Yeah,
yeah.
y'all are killing it,
26
right?
last month, 21 this month.
And like, so it's just, again, your perspective changes a little bit on some of this stuff as you grow too.
100%, dude.
So just so it's analyze, be real with yourself, and there is, if you go get the book, The 12-Week Year, which I can't find my book right now. I'm trying to figure out where it is. I think it's at the office, but I downloaded. They've got They've got the planner here.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and so it talks about state your goals in a positive way.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Focus on what you want to happen that is positive. As an example, rather than achieve don't put I want to achieve I want to have a 2% error rate. Focus on achieving a 98% accuracy rate. There is something in that, right?
Sure.
I could focus on how shitty the first quarter is and not really look at, holy crap, we're way up in listings taken.
Sure.
And from that, what will be the results because we're way up in listings taken?
Sure.
Gauge your goals in the appropriate amount of time.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll catch up. We're going to have unhappy sellers because now it's breaking our system. So I could focus on that.
Yeah.
Right. Which we did focus on the Tour Academy Mastermind call.
Boom.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
So
We dove deep on a lot of stuff on Monday, too. Y'all guys missed it, unless you were on it.
yeah, Markel was on there.
He was. Went real deep.
Yeah, we talked about send out cards, how to really break that.
Which, by the way, if
ads,
anybody's
you do
even
organic
flirting with
content.
that, like hit us up, because like we're exploring some stuff with send out cards right now that might be pretty awesome. We're not sure yet,
Yeah.
but we're kind of
Things gonna be dope,
sure.
dude.
Yeah.
I want everybody to notice, because you're never going to have this try shot again. I want you to see, because this is a perfect microcosm of the show. Look at Nick's pile of shit, his notes. And what you guys couldn't see because there was a reflection on it was like his iPad is like so many notes. Brian, moderately prepared, phone in front of him,
Got my
deer
mask.
hunter mask, which makes 0 sense at all if you know Brian.
My mother-in-law made this.
Yeah, and then
It's
me,
not a reflection of me.
just it's coffee break
With your phone that's dead.
with my
I
phone
was
that
going to
died.
say this earlier, too. I don't know if you realize, like, there's at least 4 times every episode that me and Derek make direct eye contact about some bullshit that happened on the show. And it's either us laughing or us being like, ooh, yikes.
If you want to at some point, like if for some reason you want to go back and rewatch this show, this will probably be one of the few glimpses you got at what we do off camera and what's really going on. And if you take the time to go back and watch this show, you will find Easter eggs in so many old shows. I promise.
Here's what I'm also going to say is that just looking at our live viewer count, I'm not using a sports theme reference.
Here's the thing: is I'll be honest with you, and I appreciate the people who always ride with this, but this is a media problem in general, right?
Yeah.
Without a flashy title, nobody really cares about it.
Sure.
If I'm tempted to start every single show with just lead gen. Here's how you can do this in 5 minutes, right? Because if you're a real estate agent, that's all you want to hear. But I hope at the end of the day, what you're really ultimately hearing is like, you've chosen to walk into an industry that is, dude, it is fucking hard.
Yeah, dude.
Like this is hard.
Yeah.
Like we're not. It's really cool to sit up here and talk about what we have now and 21 pendings and stuff like this. I will tell you, like it is a scary transition to get to this point. And I hope that while you guys love the titles and we get more people when we put something sexy in there, the people who stick this out really understand that there's a huge amount of value that comes in your ability to ride this thing out and stay engaged and keep trying.
It's hard to the point where I think about this sometimes, where people are like, "Hey, how did you like do all this? Like, kind of where you are now?" I'd be like, sometimes like, I don't know, I blacked out. Honestly, you know what I mean?
Like,
It's
wires
just,
under the
it's
table,
so
dude.
like it's just like it was a mess.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, when I know what we're doing now and sort of can retrace my steps a little bit, but you're 100% right. So if you are invested in the show and you have made a commitment to watch it, we honestly, we legitimately and genuinely thank you for helping to support us for 70 episodes and into the future. But two, yeah, I mean, it's 100%, you know, and commitment to your own business, you know, congrats. And I hope that you get some value out of our show at least.
Yeah.
And go to iTunes, leave us a review on there. For
sure.
I'm really looking at that because no one goes on iTunes. I was messaging.
You have to ask for them. Here's the
feel
thing: you have to ask for them
it's
directly.
kind of gone away though,
Here's the thing,
especially
it's
with the Joe Rogan transition. Nobody's going to iTunes.
Maybe
so
they're
where are they
not.
going to Spotify? Because you can't leave reviews on there.
Defy, bro. Probably.
Maybe, but either way, I think this is just like this is a little lesson for us that we can live out for people right now. Like, if you're not asking your clients directly for referrals, they're not going to give them to you.
No,
either,
yeah, 100%.
Right? Like, if I just told my
Look,
clients,
if you're getting LinkedIn messages from me, which you probably are, because I did have somebody. Did you see someone in the group that said I'm spamming them or annoying?
Yes.
And it's because I'm sure it's because of my LinkedIn messages.
Here's
right?
the thing: is like I've also made a ton of amazing connections because of that as well. Right?
Yes.
Who cares?
So I did. Speaking of the LinkedIn messages, I did ask someone to leave a review, and they're like, it was I think it was Soto, Matthew Soto. He's like,
What up, Mustachio?
He's like, I don't have iPhone. I'm like, oh, you can't listen to iTunes unless you have an
what?
Yeah, he's not an iPhone user. So I guess you.
But you can still download iTunes. That's a weak excuse, Soto.
I think it was Soto.
I'm not coming to your pool this summer.
If it wasn't Soto, then we're sorry.
yeah, if it was somebody else I don't know and not friends with, I'm so sorry.
All right, next week, episode 71.
71. Look at
We
it.
got some ideas in there.
Yeah.
I think it may be Joe Rosen. I want to bring that up.
I'd love to.
Let's do that
Or-
for episode 72 because
72.
I'm already sweating 71.
Okay.
71 would be
And
a
you'll
buffer.
find out. So Brian is sweating on his birthday.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't just have anxiety about the lack of invitation you got to his birthday party today. It's also because of our next show, and you'll find out why.
Hey,
next
Derek,
Wednesday.
since you can't play anything, just take this just immediately to black. Just end it right now. Just get out of here. Go, done. Get out.
The Sopranos.
Later.